Another thread from Carlos Osuida. This is for Deborah Messing and everyone else who thinks Donald Trump somehow screwed up our response to COVID-19. Trump immediately began seeking guidance from CDC Director Dr. Anthony Fauci, an expert on the transmission of viruses. Fauci is a brilliant man doing a great job. Here's what Fauci said about COVID-19 on January 21st, 2020. Quote, "This is not a major threat for the people of the United States, and this is not something that the citizens of the United States right now should be worried about." On January 17th, before Fauci said that COVID-19 was not a major threat to the U.S., Trump ordered the CDC and Homeland Security to begin screening travelers from China at major U.S. airports. On January 26th, this is what Fauci said about COVID-19. Quote, "The American people should not be worried or frightened by this. It's a very, very low risk to the United States. It isn't something that the American public needs to worry about or be frightened about." So Trump ignored the bad advice he was getting and instead followed his instincts. Again, Fauci is a brilliant and skilled scientist, but Trump is easily one of the smartest people who has ever lived. On March 11th, 2020, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. Trump had already placed travel restrictions on China 12 days earlier. And Trump again ignored Fauci's advice. Remember, the travel restrictions went into place 5 days after Fauci said we had nothing to worry about. Trump has retained Fauci and Dr. Birx as his advisors because they are the best in the field. But Trump is better at making decisions. Everything you're hearing about a slow response is a lie. Trump was ahead of the curve the whole time. There are 4 reasons why medical supplies are strained. 1. COVID-19 spreads too quickly for any amount of supplies to be sufficient. 2. Hospitals, cities, counties, and states allowed their stockpiles to dwindle to almost nothing. After 8 years of a centralized federal government, people think that the feds must do everything. 3. Governors and mayors have no idea where their stockpiles are, how to get new supplies, and how to transport them. Trump has had to federalize multiple National Guards to act as a delivery service. And 4. There's a black market for medical supplies, which incompetent governors and mayors have caused. Now, you may think I'm a MAGA caveman who can't give credit where credit is due. Watch this. Hooray for Governor Gavin Newsom. He's done everything right, and as a result, California's infection rate is flat. Unlike leftists, I think leftism is a real, legitimate ideology. Newsom is a real governor, and he was the first governor to get on the phone with Trump and Pence. He did absolutely everything they recommended, and he had all the facts. You couldn't ask for a better response. The same can be said for Trump. You couldn't ask for a better response. Here's a funny tweet by a Trump-hating imbecile. Mike Cernovich says, "As usual, a few MAGA chuds mad at me for posting this, but 3M CEO just told Trump, 'Lol, you're my bitch, I'll keep giving China those N95 masks.' And what's Trump gonna do? Cry on Twitter more." His Trump hate makes him stupid. He honestly thought that Trump had no means preventing 3M from violating the agreement it made with the federal government. Today, the Germans are weeping about piracy. That's funny, coming from the folks who started 2 world wars. The U.S. ended both of those little shindigs and then took Germany's armed forces away from them. Imagine not being responsible enough to have armed forces. Most Americans are doing their duty in a way we haven't seen since 1941. The only people trying to sabotage the current war effort are Democrats, the press, and celebrities. But everybody sees through the lies. And guess what? Trump is speaking daily to captains of industry to ensure the economic rebound we'll have. It'll blow everybody's minds. Everyone except for Donald Trump and me. I've experienced great evil firsthand. What actors pretend to do is reality for me. And I learned something. The payback begins while the evildoers are still here on earth. The greater the evil, the worse the payback. The attempt to sabotage Trump during this period is unambiguously evil. I would not want to be in the shoes of the saboteurs. You're in for calamity that you can't even imagine.